Hello, everybody, and welcome to Empower You. I'm so excited you're here, and welcome 2024 because this is the year of abundance. And this year, I always give my years like a motto or a word that I plan to attract. And this year, my motto has been to become happy, healthy, and wealthy. And that happens to also be my mission for Empower You and Toya Hodges LLC. But I'm going to focus on that for myself. And so I'm excited to be here. And the reason I am here right now to talk about the new you. New year, new you. I was reading something on Facebook this morning during my social media time, and there was someone that was talking about the fact that there's a new year, new you, and day 9, they've not accomplished or done one thing that they had on their list of resolutions, and how they already feel like a failure. And my heart hurts because I'm just like, we get this resolution trap and we think, hey, I set a resolution. This is what's going to happen this year. It's not that simple at all. And so when I hear people say, new year, new you, and I always ask them, okay, well, what actions, behaviors have you changed, and beliefs have you changed? Because if you haven't changed any of them, it's going to be a new year old you, not a new year new you, because nothing has changed. You're going to find yourself being the same person you were on 12/31/2023, that is right now. So I've had a lot of my clients tell me that some of the best things that they have been able to do while working with me is creating a blueprint to whatever it is they're trying to get to. And so for those of you that do not know me, my background is I have a PhD in counseling. I also have a PhD in hypnotherapy, and I've been in the mental health world for over 25 years. In addition to that, I also have a bachelor's degree in business and accounting, a bachelor's degree in accounting, and my MBA, and a master's in education, focusing on curriculum development in addition to counseling. So I have spent most of my careers building successful businesses, helping people mentally and emotionally, in addition to writing curriculum, educating, and teaching. So with that, and I have over 75 certifications in holistic, spiritual, and therapeutic modalities, in addition to Lean Six Sigma. And I always joke with my clients to say, by me having that expertise in Lean Six Sigma, I have figured out how to help people get from point A to point Z the leanest and most effective way they can get there. So that helps me be very good with strategizing. And when I hear individuals talk about these resolutions and they're so eager and excited, it's a new year, this year is going to be different. I'm not going to end the year like I did this year. We all do it, including me. But the difference is that I help you create that actionable plan. So this year, one of my goals was to show up daily, Monday through Friday, I'm not going to say daily, Monday through Friday, educating, teaching, and helping people attain the 3 things about my mission: to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And the way we do that is by facing ourselves, facing that monster that we sometimes see looking back at us in the mirror, and how we navigate through that and heal and actually move our barriers out of our way. So today, I just wanted to get into some of the reasons why we do not always be successful with our resolutions and our new year, new you journey, okay? And so I'm going to jump into this. I had to pull my notes up because I do participate in the whole ADHD realm of the world. So I could start talking, and if I don't have my notes in front of me, there'd be no telling where we might end up, and I do not want to do that with any of you guys. So we're going to keep this short and simple, because I also do know that most people like 15-20 minutes, and that's about the extent of their listening. So we're going to stay in that realm. So let me get some coffee. Number one reason that most people are not able to be successful is fear of failure. Okay? Now, psychological, why do we have a fear of failure? Well, that typically comes from us having a low self-esteem or perfectionism, because perfectionism can really amplify the fear of failure. And these things lead to us having a avoidance behavior. So because we fear failing, our self-esteem isn't very strong, okay? We want to do it perfect. And then since we probably can't do it perfect because we don't have the self-esteem and the confidence to help us, then we're just going to avoid it, okay? Now, what is a strategy that we can implement that can reduce this fear of failure, this low self-esteem, and this avoidance behavior? So, I like to tell individuals that embrace your failure. Embrace it. Because that's a stepping stone to success. Because our setbacks truly are a natural part of our learning process. So if we can reframe our failures as opportunities to learn and grow, then guess what? How I look at it is every day when I wake up, I'm a new version of myself. The version of me that was here yesterday died when I went to sleep. And I was upgraded with everything that worked and what didn't work in my day is now being upgraded. Now, if I don't like the way something happened the day before, then I know what I need to do to change that. It's like a whole experiment. You think about when you were in biology class and or chemistry class, and you're having to do all these experiments to figure out what works and what don't work. You didn't feel like a failure. You were like, oh, well, we tried this amount of chemical and that caused this. Well, that's not what we wanted, so let's go back and try this. It's the same thing with life. And so if we embrace the things, the experiment that didn't work, and look at it and said, okay, this particular thing didn't work, then I know what to do. For example, when I first started my health journey about a year ago, after almost dying and gaining a ton of weight, I had never really truly been active in the world. So I had to take a chance to step out there, right? And what I did was I went out and tried every exercise in the world that I could to figure out which ones I liked. I didn't hold myself I held myself accountable, but I didn't beat myself up for going to try this particular exercise and not liking it. That just didn't happen. So it's the same thing. Like, just embrace, all right? Second reason why we struggle and aren't able to be the new you, and that's we lack self-confidence. We just lack feeling confident within ourselves. And we have this negative self-perception, and that typically comes from past experiences of failure, and that can erode our self-confidence over time. So if you would go back and look at some of those things, because this is a lot that I do with my one-on-one clients or in my group programs, is I have them back up and say, okay, look at that particular failure, list the 10 failures that you feel like bother you the most. Look at those 10 failures. And then right next to it, what you learned from that failure. And then that helps build your confidence, because then you realize, like, you know what? Yeah, that was a pretty bad situation. But look at what it did to help me be a better person now. Look at what evidence that I have that supports to not do this again, right? So how do we help our self-confidence? One is, as a hypnotherapist who understands how our mind operates, I definitely tell everyone to develop a positive self-talk routine. Why is that important? I remember when I first started my healing journey, I remember people used to always talk about affirmations. And I'm like, if I sit here and say, I am beautiful, I am this, I'm like, really? What does that do? Well, when I went back to school to get my PhD in hypnotherapy, I learned the importance of what that positive self-talk does. And this is what it does. We have 80,000 thoughts going through our mind today. 80% of them are negative. And the only way to change that percentages is through affirmations and positive self-talk. So unless if you're going to keep being your own punching bag, which none of us truly like, then you need to learn to start talking positive to yourself. Because this is the thing. Let me take a sip of coffee. If you don't love you, then how can you love other people? So if you look in the mirror and you hate the person that's looking back at you, we got some serious issues, like for real. And if you are constantly beating yourself up, then you're never going to get ahead. So you have to challenge those negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones. So if you're saying something negative about yourself, stop it in the tracks and reword it till it's something positive. Okay? Reword it. Because if what you say to yourself you wouldn't say to your best friend, or if somebody was saying those things to your best friend, if you would want to fight them, then you don't deserve to be talked to like that either. If someone else said to you what you say about yourself, what would you do? Okay? So, change those negative self-thoughts. Okay? And we're going to talk about this a little more, but set small, achievable goals initially, because then that's going to help you build confidence. When I started my weight loss journey, I knew how much weight I had to lose, but that was a whole lot of weight. It was a lot. And so then I was like, you know what? My goal is to lose 1 pound a week. That was my goal. It was small, it was achievable, and the weeks that I was doing more than a pound, I was excited, and it helped me continue with confidence. And before I knew it, I'm like, I got this. So now every day I'm working out, I'm eating healthy, I'm making right choices, and I don't think twice about it. But it took me a while to get there. So that's why we got to have small, achievable goals. Okay? The next reason we don't make it, procrastination. Me and procrastination were married for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. And then I had to divorce it because it was really destroying my life. Like, for real. So, with procrastination, that often comes from us having low self-regulation, difficulty managing our emotions, and a fear of the discomfort associated with whatever it is that we're working on. We may not feel smart enough. We may not know everything that has to happen, which brings us back up to that fear category where we don't trust ourselves, where we're sitting here and avoiding things, where we're trying to make sure it's perfect. Doesn't work out. So from a person that is talks to ADHD, I had to create where I worked in focus periods. So if you look at my calendar, there's a lot of time blocking. And the time that I'm blocking, my phone is off, it's nowhere near me, and I just focus on that one particular thing. Even when I'm working out, I don't have my phone with me. Okay? Because what happens is I'll take small breaks, and when I have my small break, then I can do the other things that will, and then my alarm goes off. So I have my alarm set on my phone to where it's time for a break, my break is up. And what it's done is it's enhanced my productivity. So now I'm able to work 4 or 5 hours a day and have everything that I need to get done completed. That's amazing. So when you think about procrastination, if you prioritize your task and create a schedule, I schedule everything from my workouts to the days I'm doing my laundry to time I'm doing it. I schedule it all. Now, I know a lot of people's like, oh, that seems rigid, but I don't look at it as being rigid. I look at it as keeping me productive, because my goal is to have more free time to do all the things that I really want to do. And in order for me to do all the things I really want to do without having guilt and shame and all that, I need to get things accomplished. Okay? So, our next reason. We already talked a little bit about this, but we're going to hop back in it. Negative self-talk. Okay? Negative self-talk may be the root of a lot of our cognitive distortions. Okay? Such as having this mentality of we make everything be catastrophic, or we have that, and I know some of you are going to know people like this. It's all or nothing thinking. It's either we're going to do it or all of it or nothing. Those things don't always work, right? So how many people have you seen jump out here in, first of the year on these health journeys, and they're trying to work out every day for 30 minutes to an hour, changing the way they eat. Their system is overwhelmed. It doesn't know what to do, because we went from not having enough time to go sit down and use the bathroom in private without being bothered to now we're trying to work out for an hour. We don't have time for that. Our schedule was already booked as of 12/31/2023, and then we thought on 1/1/2024 we were going to get an extra 24 hours a day. No, it doesn't work that way. So that is why we need to replace these negative self-thoughts with our positive affirmations. We need to cultivate our self-compassion. We need to show our self-love like we show everybody else. Okay? Talk to you the way you would talk to your friends or your kids or anyone else, with compassion. Okay? And practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is so important. And the reason being mindful is so you can become aware of where you're doing all this negative self-talk and redirect it to more constructive thoughts. Okay? The fifth reason is lack of goal clarity. So if you have unclear goals, that may be a result of lack of self-reflection, leading to uncertainty about your personal desires and values. One of the first things that I make my clients do is a personal SWOT analysis on themselves, because we need to know what we're working with so we know how we're going to get down this path, right? And we need to know what it is that they truly want, because everybody wants something until somebody asks them. If I was to ask you right now, tell me 10 desires that you have, most of you couldn't list them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But sitting down and figuring out what you really, really want is the most important thing you could do for yourself. Okay? So what is our strategy behind our lack of goal clarity? And I love using SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, when we take our goals and put them down and break them down into short and long term objectives, it makes it more manageable. I joke, for a very long time, one of my jobs was to help individuals start businesses and build them to 7, 8 figures. I would have 18 months to take them from 0 to 18 figures. And in that, I would have a notebook and I would always write down my to-do list. My goals were so big that those lines would never get marked off, and I would always look at myself like, I'm not accomplishing things. But one of my goals was start a business. Do you know how many things are included in starting a business? So it was funny because everybody would used to laugh at my to-do list, and they're like, there ain't a whole lot there, but you're always so busy. And it was because I wasn't using that criteria. So about 15 years ago, I adopted the criteria, and ever since then, we've been cooking with gas over here. All right, next thing, impatience. How many is impatient? We love that immediate gratification, right? So this can come from wanting immediate gratification, or it could be a difficulty in tolerating uncertainty, right? So it's like people manifesting wealth. I want to be wealthy. But yet you got poor management skills. You allow the emotion of having the immediate gratification. You need that so much that you don't have long-term gratification, delayed gratification. And so then you wonder why your wealth isn't increasing. Well, this could be some of the reasons why. So how do we create a strategy? Well, first we need to practice patience and persistence, because what happens is most times if people don't get what they want quick, fast, and in a hurry, then they out. And when you're out, guess what? You didn't accomplish your goal. All right? I couldn't start on January 1st trying to lose 75 pounds and be mad by January 9th that I haven't gotten there yet. Not going to happen. All right? So we have to practice patience and persistence, okay? And then you also have to recognize that meaningful change takes time, and we need to celebrate our victories along the way in order to stay motivated. External validation seeking. This is where we are dependent on external validation. And this could be linked to a fragile sense of self-worth or a desire for social approval. And in the world we're living in with social media, everybody's life is on call 24 hours a day. And everybody's looking at it, and everybody's judging it one way or another. Some judging it good ways, some are judging it bad ways. It's just what life is. And I was actually teaching a course the other day into a group of teenagers, and I was teaching them the mental toughness. And one of the things that I said, and I practice, is when I tell people I'm proud of them, I always tell them I'm proud of you for being you. Right? That's what I'm proud of you, for being you, for showing up every day, being you. In whatever way, shape, or form that is, I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you accomplish these things. Why do I say that? Because if we grow up having people be proud of us based on something we accomplish, then we're going to always be constantly looking for external validation for things that we've done. Right? And so when we create these goals for ourselves, external validation, we need to remove that from it. Okay? We need to shift that focus from external to internal. Because if we're internally satisfied, then guess what? We're good. Okay? So the way we do this is we reflect on our personal values and our motivations, right? we seek fulfillment from the progress that we're making rather than approval from others. Because as long as we're fulfilled, what happens externally has nothing to do with us at all. Okay? The next thing is the all or nothing thinking. Now, this cognitive distortion often results from a very rigid mindset and the tendency to view situations in black and white terms. That's not life. Life is not always black and white. There are certain things that are black and white, but not everything. So, in order for us to move out of that, we have to embrace a growth mindset. We have to recognize that progress is exactly what it says, progress, no matter how small it is. If you were losing weight and you weighed the same that you weighed yesterday, that's progress. Tomorrow it might be less. That's progress, okay? No matter how small it is. And avoid extremes and find balance that allows for flexibility and adjustment. Because if you're so rigid, then you're not allowing flexibility of life to show up. You're not allowing the ability for adjustments, right? So be and embrace that growth mindset. It's amazing. Lack of planning. So poor planning may be associated with difficulties in an executive function, such as organizing our thoughts and setting priorities. Whew, Lord. I wrestled with this one for a very, very long time. It wasn't necessarily for my lack of planning. It was I had too many things that I was trying to accomplish in a short amount of time, and I wasn't being wise with it, right? So one of the things that I recommend is creating a detailed plan and outlining your steps of how you're going to be successful at whatever your goals are, right? Whether you recognize this or not in life, we have things that show up. And sometimes these things show up and they knock the wind out of us, right? So we need to anticipate potential obstacles. It's just life, right? And we need to devise strategies to overcome them. Regularly review them and adjust your plan as needed. Okay? Like, how do you overcome things? Like, one example, like with fear. If you fear something, what I tell my clients is write down what your fear is and then write down 3 things that you can do to prevent that fear from coming true. Guess what? Then you lose your fear because you got options as to how you're going to navigate it. If the worst thing you thought could happen happened, you had a plan, right? Plans make us feel comfortable. They make us feel secure and safe. And this is the same thing when you're looking into your new year, new you, is to create what is going to take for you to be successful. If you want to save $12,000 a year, you need to save $1,000 a month, and then that could be $250 a week, right? So what is your plan to make that happen? And then what happens if something happens where like COVID showed up and people weren't working? Like, give yourself some grace. Adjust your plan as needed based on what has come up in life, right? And our very last one, and then you will be finished with me today, and my coffee is almost over, and that is comparing yourself to others. Yeah. So now that social media is taking the world by storm, we are constantly comparing ourselves. Constantly. And our social comparison may be driven by the need of, what did we talk about earlier? Validation, or it's an external measure of self-worth, because you're looking at these people like, oh, they look amazing. Look how their bodies look. Or, oh, look, they're making all this money and they just started their business and da 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 da. You don't know any of that backstory. They may have been filtering their pictures. They may have had surgery, or it may have taken them years to get to the point to where they're at, to get that body and the work and the sacrifices that they had to make. Same thing for businesses or whatever that case may be. You don't know the backstory. You're just looking at the finished product while comparing yours to the unfinished product. That isn't even an equal comparison at all. So my strategy for this is focus on your own journey. Focus on your own journey. Okay? And understand that everyone progresses at their own pace. And if you're comparing yourself to others, I'm pretty certain you're probably not even comparing the right things to begin with. So compare your current self with your past self to gauge your personal growth. Okay? Because if we do that, then we're going to be more successful. And isn't that what we want? We want to become more successful in achieving our goals and the things that we want. Right? Well, I've gone way over my time. My apologies. However, I needed to get all this out. Tomorrow, we're going to actually hop in on how to create your personal SWOT analysis to figure out who you are, what it is that you want, and then we will continue this series on how to actually build your plan, create the strategies for you, and then how to get to this successful mindset. All right? I love you all, and I will see you soon.